We teach from scar tissue. We also create from it, right? We create from this place of, hey, what's the need? And we saw, like you talked about, I think in the previous episode, we saw there was a gap, in the industry. There was an area where this was a problem. We listen to the issues that are brought to us, and we solve those problems.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business, so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
And I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And we are in the middle of a 3-part series. If you're just tuning in for the first one now, well, go back and make sure you listen to the one right before. We are talking associate doctors. We're giving you a look behind the curtain. We're talking about remarkable associate doctor relationship. And this is part 2. And in part 1, Dr. Stephen, on our last episode, we went into 5 very critical questions to ask and things that have to become clear if you're going to get this right. We talked about, if you're an associate doctor, you're a student, you're looking potentially for an associate, maybe you're an owner who's looking to move out of ownership more into an associate. The question is, what's next for you? We talked about the 10 tracks to success and the next program. We talked about how do you decide what's best for you, understanding that there's got to be this communion of the core values and the vision story and how I'm hardwired. And there has to be an alignment that for both the practice and the owner and the associate doctors coming together. We talked about vision story and being able to determine, hey, what's important right now? What's important next? What's important ultimately? And that part of getting this right and doing this right, because it's wicked hard, Dr. Stephen, right? Is you've got to be clear on what's important now, what's important next, what's important ultimately, where are we now? Where do we want to go next? Where do we want to go ultimately? And making sure that, again, there's an alignment there for the direction. Talked about answering the big 5 questions. You talked about this is the zoom in moment where we ask the questions, what is success? How? What's the model? Where? What's the region? Who's the mentor and when? What's the timeline? We talked about answering those 5 questions. And that was such a powerful part of that episode, Dr. Stephen. And I want everybody to go back and listen back to all of that, but specifically that area. So big. And then the 5th and final, we talked about knowing yourself and the 3-leg stool of objective, subjective, and historical, really combining those 3 to really truly know who you are. We unpack that this week. On this episode, we're continuing in the conversation. This is part 2 in this episode of podcast. And we're going to be talking about opportunities, Dr. Stephen. This is all about the opportunity. If I was to title this series, it's all about opportunity right now. So Dr. Stephen, finding great opportunities, approaching these opportunities, vetting the opportunities, and really what to look for. Let's dig in.
Yeah, Dr. Pete, in the previous episode, I came clean and said, listen, my motivation here is really clear, right? So I want to mitigate the exposure that we have in screwing these relationships up, right? So getting this relationship right is wicked hard. We're speaking, you and I, both from personal experience, both being associate doctors, having multiple associate doctors. I think you've had 15 or so. I had 39 associate doctors. And now helping hundreds of chiropractors do this right inside of their remarkable practice. And in Chiro Matchmakers, specifically placing associate doctors in chiropractic practices. Man, I don't know if anybody's done more of this personally than we have, man. So, the idea is like we live in this space and I see how incredibly difficult it is to actually get this right. So here's the truth. We don't want you to screw it up. Right? So, because the truth is these associate doctors are really hard to find. So if you're a CEO right now, I want you to recognize that for every associate doctor out there right now, there are 5 opportunities. So there's a 5-to-1 ratio, right? So they're really hard, right? So it's really hard to attract them, and then it's really hard to convert them, and it's really hard to retain them, okay? So we've got to get this right. So for the owners, you're going to get a peek behind the curtain around exactly how do we prepare the talent, the associate doctors, to find these opportunities, to vet these opportunities, to interview, to negotiate, right? So you're going to get to be like, look behind the curtain and say, how do we prepare them? Because frankly, we're preparing both sides of this equation. We work with both the owners who are hiring and the talent who are being hired because we want to matchmake, right? So we made a romantic reference to premarital counseling on the last episode. Dr. Pete, I'm going to go even further upstream from that right now. I'm going to say, man, if you're trying to match make some friends, let's say you know somebody, right? And she's just struggling trying to find that right person in their life. They've had a couple of heartbreaks. They've they've just not been able to find that right person. They're very discerning. They know, man, I need somebody who shares my core values, my vision story, somebody whose behaviors in alignment, right? So that this person is available and looking, right? And then you meet this other human being that is like, oh man, he is such a great match for her. And I really want to bring them together, right? It's a great guy. I think they share core values. Man, they have a very similar vision story. That's just awesome. And his behaviors just totally line up. So what do you do when you're going to bring them together? You're like, okay, listen, bro, don't screw this up. This is what you need to know about her, right? Do this, don't do that, whatever you do. Like it's matchmaking, man. This is exactly what we do when we're meeting with the owner, making sure that they're super clear on exactly what they're looking for, who they're looking for, what they expect from them, so that they're hiring with expectations and agreements, not with assumptions and fantasies, which leads to heartbreak, right? And on the other side of it, we make sure that we prepare the associate doctors, the potential hire, the talent. We want to coach them, right? Let's bring them down to earth. Here's what you should expect, right? This is reality, right? So we help them understand what's available to them out there, all the choices. We help them first start with understanding themselves, right? So, we test them so they know themselves objectively. We make them settle down and get in touch with their own core values and their own vision story so they know themselves subjectively, right? And then also we help them explore their history. What have they done really well in their life? Where did they find joy and fulfillment, et cetera? And we teach them how to present themselves, how to write a resume, how to do an interview, right? How to listen for opportunities that are a match for them. What are the red flags? What are the pitfalls? What are the sure signs that you're in the right place? How to find an opportunity, how to find a mentor, right? And then how to make sure you're clear on expectations and agreements so you know what a win looks like. Making sure that you understand how to vet an opportunity. Making sure that you know exactly what you're looking for, pros and cons. Making sure that you can communicate those things very well. And then, of course, negotiating contracts, comp plans, et cetera. Dr. Pete, we're working on both sides of this equation. And I love this conversation because when we get this right, it's a win-win-win.
And as I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about all the things that we now offer and do, and I'm like, man, where were we when it was my turn?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the beautiful thing. We teach from scar tissue. We also create from it, right? We create from this place of, hey, what's the need? And we saw, like you talked about, I think in the previous episode, we saw there was a gap, in the industry. There was an area where this was a problem. We listen to the issues that are brought to us, then we solve those problems, right? And then we create new ones. But that is what this is. This is birthing out of seeing, hey, this is an issue. It's been an issue in our chiropractic profession now for a long time, a sideways, upside down associate doctor owner relationships. And we said, hey, we've got to get this right. The future of our planet really depends on if we truly believe that chiropractic, plays an important role in the restoration of health globally, which it does, and chiropractic is that important, that we've got to get these relationships right. So guys, remember, keep the end in mind. What's this really all about? It's absolutely critical. So, listening to these questions, I'm going to ask Dr. Stephen a few questions here. As an owner, I want you to think about it from the perspective of where do you fit into this question, and what should you be focusing on and doing, and where do you need to be? And then if you're an associate doctor or a student who's looking for this, I want you to be asking yourself the same question. I do feel like we are speaking somewhat to an associate in this, but doc CEOs, remember that you play a vital role in this process of the discovery process. So Dr. Stephen, I'm going to ask you the first question. And this is really, again, we're piggybacking on what we went through on our last.
That's right. You have to listen to the last episode.
You got to listen to the last one. If you don't, anyway, so just please go back and listen if you haven't to the previous episode, because it fits beautifully. And so, okay. So the question is about finding great opportunities, how to find great opportunities.
Okay. So this is a perfect example of regardless of what side of, let's call it the equation, are you the owner who's hiring, or you're the talent that's looking to be hired? Owners, listen to this, okay? Because it's going to be informing where you should be marketing your opportunity. Okay. So if we're telling the talent, listen, put out an all points bulletin, it's an APB, right? So, you need to let the world know that you're available and you're looking. You need to be looking everywhere. So when you're looking to find not a job, not an opportunity, you're looking to find the best opportunity for you, right? So there are so many opportunities out there. You're looking to find the best opportunity for you. And if you don't know what that looks like, sounds like, and smells like, there's no freaking way you're going to find it. Okay. So just know that's why you have to listen to the first 5 questions, right? Now we're actually, okay, now I understand what I'm looking for. How do I find it? Right. So this is making the assumption that you've gone through the first 5 questions, right? So now you have clarity as a talent going out into the world. All points bulletin, man. Right. So number 1, old school, gripping and grinning. You got to let everybody in your network know you are looking and you're available. Number 2, you've got to make sure you get out into that community. If you decided, hey, I want to practice in Nashville, Tennessee, great. You go and you let every single doctor that practices there know them that you're available and who you are, and sell yourself with your resume, right? So making sure that you're putting together a compelling resume that says exactly who you are, what your superpowers are, exactly what you're looking for, et cetera, right? And that's going to be an upcoming episode. We're actually going to teach you guys about what should be in a resume, and also on the owner's side, how to read a resume, right? How to find that A player by looking at a resume, right? So present yourself, send the resume to everybody in that state, send follow-up emails, send follow-up phone calls, then drop in, right? So you want to set up, you want to be shadowing as many doctors as possible. Go spend the day with them, go take them out for coffee or lunch or what have you. So you want to go and you want to meet those docs, right? Then you want to be, of course, on the state association. You want to be on their job board. You want to be on all of the job boards. I'll put I'm actually going to shamelessly promote 2 things. The Chiro Bar, get on the Chiro Bar and make sure you're listed on the Chiro Bar. Make sure that you are contacting professional organizations like Chiro Matchmakers, who actually are working on your behalf to place you, to find opportunities for you, right? Somebody who can act like a sports agent who's actually helping you find the best opportunity, helping you make it clear on your expectations and agreements, get your contract together, get your comp plan together, et cetera. So, obviously social media, all over Facebook, using SEO, et cetera. But the reality is obviously I'm an advocate for working with a professional who will help you find the best opportunity in the shortest time frame, so to speak, Dr. Pete.
Yeah, I mean, it's no need in messing around here. Let's get the right people. It's again, how do you build a remarkable business? You got to get the right people in the right roles, doing the right work the right way. Well, how do you find a remarkable associate, and how do you put yourself in a remarkable associate doctor position? If you're an associate looking, you find the right people, and you put them in the right role, doing the right work the right way, get the help that you need.
That's right.
Put together a team for you to help you do this. Right. So yeah, no, and again, going back to, we did not have these available to us. And so we had to do it a different way. And so now we have these incredible services and opportunities like, Chiro Bar and Chiro Matchmakers and, the Remarkable Associate Doctor Program and all of these things. So it's really incredible, the next program. So,
right.
So Dr. Stephen, so I've got that. So I've got, some of the things that I can be doing and need to be doing in order to find great opportunities. And there was a lot there. So then the second question is, how do I approach them?
Right.
Okay, let's take a quick break and talk about Chiro Matchmakers.
Chiro Matchmakers will help you find the right person for the job. If you're looking to hire the ideal chiropractic assistant, Chiro Matchmakers will help you find the specific person missing from your team so that you can get back to using your talents to serve more people. Or if you're looking to hire the ideal associate doctor, CMM can help. Chiro Matchmakers helps chiropractors like you find the ideal associate doctor to unlock your practice potential and get you the freedom that you desire. To learn more, go to chiromatchmakers.com.
And now let's jump right back into our conversation.
So, I talked about some of the logistical sort of semantic side of it, which is making sure you have got a great resume. I can't overemphasize that, right? So you've got to be, that resume should sell you, right? So, which means it needs to be authentically representing you, exactly who you are, what your strengths are, what you're looking for, what you're great at, et cetera, right? So you got to be able to sell yourself and present yourself. But let me say this, Dr. Pete, it's important that the talent recognizes that you're valuable showing up. You're a valuable player. Okay. So I want you to have a level of confidence going into that, but that has to be tempered with great humility. Okay. So you want to show up with great humility here, like a humble human being, like to recognize that you're looking for the best opportunity. And what's the best opportunity? The best opportunity for you to make the biggest impact in humanity, right? So you want to be able to show up and be able to say, I want to put myself in an environment where I'm going to grow as a human being, where I'm going to grow as an individual, where I'm going to grow as a doctor, where I'm going to grow in my leadership skills, my communication skills, my clinical skills, et cetera. That should be humbling to you right now to be thinking about it that way, right? So money follows value, right? And you want to put yourself in an environment where you can add the most value to humanity. And if you have that perspective, people are going to pick up on that, right? There's something to be said, that beautiful mix between being, I love the smart, hungry, and humble, right? So to be able to show up and be able to say, to be proud of the fact that you're intelligent, you've got great skill sets, you're articulate, right? So you don't have any experience, but you're there for experience, right? So you've done everything you can to grab as much experience as you can and make sure that you're aware of that, right? So and be intentional about representing that, right? But at the same time, you're showing up humble, which means that you are eager and you are coachable, right? And you are available, right? So you are looking to learn. So don't show up thinking that you know everything and that, you're there and you have crazy expectations around, what you're going to be paid out of the gate, and make sure that you don't have crazy expectations about fringe benefits and, making a big, statement around your work-life balance and how you only want to work 3 half days a week. Is that you got to be really careful about like how you present yourself, and just recognize out of the gate, yes, you are valuable, right? So you should have value for yourself, but at the same time, showing up with a level of humility that will create a level of attraction that'll put you into the best environment for you to develop into the most successful person.
Yeah, I can't express how important that is. I can't express how important that element is, that you are valuable. I remember a few, episodes ago, we talked about our word for the year. We talked about it, resilient. And I remember saying, you are resilient, right? Because of what you have been through. You are resilient. You are valued. Like you said, God only makes geniuses. So you are valuable. You carry a genius, right? And so you always have to come in with that belief. And I think sometimes as an associate or a student coming in, maybe you don't feel that way, right? So you actually have to recognize that you have a gift, you have a talent, you have a purpose, you have value to add, and you carry that with you, and with that exact same level of, let's say, confidence, certainty, swagger, comes the humility, right? Comes the hunger. Humility, saying, I need to learn. Number 2, hunger, I'm going to learn. I'm going to find a situation where I'm going to be learning and taught and coached and developed, and I'm smart, so I can actually gain and retain information. I can become a master in some level of the things that I'm doing, because I have an intelligence about me. And so it's really that is what, who I need to be. If I'm coming into the situation as an associate, it's also who I'm looking for if I'm a CEO and I'm the owner. And so there's got to be things in place in order for someone to be able to have hunger and to be developed and to develop themselves and become smart and use their intelligence to make a bigger impact, make a bigger income, be able to help more people. And so it's really, really important, Dr. Stephen. This is so powerful. So how to approach them, that's huge. The third question is, okay, so then once I have, found a great opportunity or opportunities, and I'm approaching them with a level of focus and intelligence and purpose, how do I vet the opportunity, Dr. Stephen? Because that's once I'm at the threshold, how do I vet the opportunity?
Yeah. So, and this is a place to, be respectfully discerning, right? So, the reality is that in the right environment, the doctor who's looking to hire has to have a certain level of clarity around exactly what they're trying to accomplish and why they're looking to hire somebody and what they expect you to do for this to ever have a chance to survive, right? For this to be a success, for this to be a thriving environment, right? So just, as an owner, as you're listening to this right now, just know in Chiro Matchmakers, we spend a great deal of time, and in TRP and the Remarkable Practice, spend a great deal of time training and coaching our doctors around arriving with clarity around these elements. Like before you even think about bringing somebody else, another professional into your environment, before you ever think about marketing or advertising for the opportunity for the position, looking to interview, never mind hire or write contracts and comp plans, you need to be able to answer these questions like with a lot of clarity. Like you have to be able to land on these things, or this thing's screwed from the beginning. Okay. So if you're a talent right now and you're listening to this, know that you should show up with a set of questions. Like, you're not just trying to sell yourself on, hey, I need a job and I need a paycheck, my student loans are coming due, what have you. It's like, you want to make sure that you're in the right place, right? So you want to make sure that this is a match. So respectfully and humbly ask a series of questions. And if you do this properly, you're really going to impress the owner who could potentially be hiring you. I know I would be, right? So when you're vetting this opportunity, number one, we're making the assumption from the first 5 questions we asked that you have clarity around exactly what you're looking for and why. Like, objectively, subjectively, historically, what what you're looking for. So now you know what to listen for in answers. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. It's like, I'm showing up knowing what I'm looking for, right? So let's say we're going back on that, that blind date where you're getting set up by, you're going to love this person that I'm setting you up with, right? So they gave a little background on it. You show up to the date, you know what you're looking for in a partner, right? So you've thought about this, you've given this consideration, right? So your core values, your vision story for your life, what behaviors are congruent and aligned with that, historically what's been joy and fulfillment, right? So you guys know what I'm saying. It's like you're bringing all that into this conversation. So when you're vetting, you have all of this information now, okay? And that's where you can use a level of discernment and the discernment will be based on how much clarity you have on these things, right? So, asking the doctor, okay, so help me understand, why are you hiring another doctor? Okay. Why are you bringing on an associate doctor into this business? What are you trying to accomplish? What are the outcomes you're looking for? Are you looking for increased capacity? Do you want to serve more people? Do you want to, is it serving the mission? Is it expansion? Do you want to, drive more revenue? Are you looking to increase your profits? Are you trying to claw back your free time? Are you trying to mitigate your exposure for the risk of being the only doctor on here? So you want to add not just scalability, but durability, right? So like literally, like, what does a win look like? Help me understand, why are you hiring an associate doctor and what are you hoping to accomplish? What's the outcome you're looking for? Okay. And then, so what is the vision story of success? Tell me, what does success look like? Like if we had a conversation a year from now, and let's say you hired me and you said, wow, what a great year. Because of what would that look like? Help me understand, what does success look like when you hire this associate doctor? What does success look like a year from now, 3 years from now? What's the vision story, right? And what is the role you want the associate doctor to play in manifesting that success? In other words, what's the job description? Okay, help me understand the job description of this associate doctor. Are you looking for, somebody who's more of a business builder associate doctor who's going to do more marketing and attraction and conversion and, build the business through that sort of activity? Or are you looking for somebody who's looking to be a caregiver, who's head down, bum up, taking care of patients, and you're just hiring somebody to do the doctoring, right? So help me understand, it's like, what is the job description of that person? What would be the person the role that I'm interviewing for, so to speak? What does that look like? Okay. And then what are the terms of that agreement, right? So we've gone from expectations and agreements, job descriptions, to the terms of the agreement. Talk to me about those things. And then of course the compensation plan, like, help me understand, what's the business model? How does the practice work? How's the money work, et cetera, right? So Dr. P, every one of these questions, the hiring doctor, the owning doctor should very much be prepared for these and have total clarity. Otherwise this thing's doomed from the beginning.
So good, Doc. And you're just listening to those questions. I mean, these questions are, the vetting is an auditing process, and you're interviewing each other. And this is why it's so important that both the owner, you are prepared with these questions, and as an associate, a prospect of talent coming in, you are prepared with these questions and you have the answers ready to go. It's so very important to do that. And already you have set yourself up to be in a position to find the right opportunity. Again, this is about vetting the opportunity, and this is so powerful. The final question for today, actually, I want to talk about is, what are the 3 things to look for then in the job opportunity? So we talk about, we've talked about a lot up to this point. We went through a lot, and I mean, if we ended this podcast right now, we already have a lot. But I want to ask one more question. I feel like that's gonna, bring a lot more of this together. Okay, so what are the 3 things to look for in a job opportunity for an associate?
Yeah, I'm going to go really high level, but I think they're super valuable. And it's, this is like the win-win-win or no go, right? So these are deal breakers. So the first one is, number one, like we said, this has to be a match, right? So you have to know yourself to even say whether it's a match or not, right? So in other words, is this the opportunity that I'm looking for because I'm hardwired to be awesome in this opportunity, right? So you have to know yourself. Again, goes back to objective, subjective, and historical. You need to know yourself, and you go in there and say, this is either a match or it's not a match. They're hiring for this very specific position. Let's get back to our football analogy. If you know that you're a wide receiver and they're hiring an offensive lineman, you're going to get crushed. Okay. So if you're a running back and what they actually are looking for is a kicker, you're going to hate that. Right. Yeah. But if you're a All-American cornerback and they want a cornerback and they're going to put you in, they're like, oh my gosh, this is like a match made in heaven. This is exactly the way they run their offense, the way they run their defense. I love their defensive coordinator. It's like, man, I love their defensive philosophy. I am going to fit. So I'm going to be All-American here. Right. So that's when you have an energizing, promising opportunity there because it's a match. Number two is looking at leadership, right? And saying, is this the mentor that I'm looking for? Is this the leader that I'm looking for? This is a relationship. It's like a work marriage, right? So it's like, I'm looking for, do I agree with the core values of this business? Because those core values were set by that leader, right? So do I love the vision story? Do I buy into that vision story? And are the behaviors in alignment with that? Does it make sense that I invest my time, energy, and focus here, not just money, like, am I going to make money here? But is this the environment where I'm going to grow as a human being, as a practitioner? Is this going to imprint on me well? Is this going to be a place where is this the environment where I'm going to be more likely to be successful here than, with them than without them? And then the third one is, I would definitely look at the culture of the business from the team's development perspective. In other words, is there a training culture? Is there a development culture? Do they coach? Do they go to seminars? Are they training together regularly? And is everybody developing? Is everybody studying and working on becoming better? Because that's an area of, that's a business that's growing. And you want to be in an environment where we're growing as human beings. That'll energize you. And it just sets the course for just such a brighter future.
So good, Doc. So Dr. Stephen, this is just absolute value just being added on top. And this is a part 2 of a 3-part series that we're doing here, all about the remarkable associate doctor relationship. So this is conversation for you as a CEO, for you as an associate. It's a conversation for everybody. And it's a conversation we want you to be in. We want to help you get this right. We know that the future of chiropractic really is going to be hinging on our ability to get this right. Historically, we have not done this well, not us, but as a profession, we have been doing it really well. And that's why we felt like we needed to be able to release this again, because we are winning in this area with the doctors that we get to work with when it comes to placing them and when it comes to developing and equipping and training and seeing those practices grow and grow and grow.
That's a good point, Pete. I'm going to interrupt you here because I'm probably remiss to be able to say that. It's like, how fun is it? Like, we have hundreds of doctors that we work with on an intimate level, whether it's in the Remarkable Practice or Chiro Matchmakers. And, we were just celebrating as a group, right? We've had 8 new 7-figure practices this year for hitting the $1 million mark for the first time. And all of those involve getting the associate doctor right? So we have a handful of practitioners who hit 2 million for the first time, a handful that hit 3 million. We have several that hit 4 million for the first time. Tell you what, I mean, those businesses are enterprises, right? They're getting this associate doctor relationship right. And just like maybe some of you right now, they sucked at it before. They had terrible experiences before. They came from multiple failures, just like the dating scene. Imagine if you stopped dating because the first couple, 2, 3 relationships didn't work out right. Or maybe what if your spouse did, God forbid, right? So you got to get this right. You can totally get this right. And we can absolutely teach you how to do this. This is a system. This is a science. You don't want to guess. You definitely don't want to guess.
So we want to help you make sure we take all the guessing out of it, because it is hard, but it can be done right. It must get done right. So there's a couple links that we want to make sure that you're aware of that are attached to this episode, as well as this series. One is a link to the next program, which is all about the 10 tracks to success. So make sure you download and you click and you get that link and you get those specific tracks. Also, a link to Chiro Matchmakers, one of our partners that we work with in the Remarkable practice, one of our what we call success partners, because they help us help you become more successful. And so Chiro Matchmakers, if you're looking for a remarkable associate doctor or even a remarkable CA, they can help you with that. We're so proud of them and what work they're doing and with the doctors we get to work with. Also, the Remarkable Associate Doctor Program for you as CEOs, we've laid it out as the 12 steps to creating, to hiring for interviewing, hiring, training, developing, equipping, a remarkable associate doctor, getting that relationship right. We've laid it out there for you in the Remarkable Associate Doctor Program. So you'll see a link to that, and then coaching as well. Dr. Stephen, it's just so important that you're not alone in this process. If you're embarking on this journey, you're going from build to scale, or you're in scale, but you're looking to scale up and you want to scale and do it remarkably, we're here to help you do that. So please take advantage of those. See the links below, and to make sure that you tune in next time for our next episode, which is part 3 in this series about hiring remarkable associates.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.